when Leicester appointed him, they were like, all right, man, we just don't want to be relegated. You know how to get those 30 points mid-season, right? And he knows how to do it. He's not the manager that is going to turn the fortune of your team around, except in that season where everything fell into place. But that's what he's doing at Sampdoria right now. Sampdoria were risking relegation. They were like, man, we just need not to get relegated.
It's just to stabilize. It's to stabilize and, back to basics, just like back four, keep your shape. This is what he does, but he's very good at it. I think he's always a good addition to the Premier League. It's good to see him back.
And that's one thing that it's kind of like pressing me this week, especially after watching all the criticism around Inter and Conte last night. I know that you're all about the excitement, how fans are involved in the team and everything. I agree with you. But in the end, what matters in football is results, man. Upon your suggestion, I recently watched Moneyball. And that's what they say.
It's a great film, right?
It's a great film. And that's what they say. Doesn't the system that Brad Pitt's character puts into place, doesn't it diminish a bit the philosophy of sports, like the romance about sports?
Yeah, it takes away all the flair, all the kind of creativity. It's like just facts, numbers, stats. Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to get mistaken, but in 1965, Inter could win the league, and they literally sat down and said, this game is a must win. This game we can play the second team. This game is a must win. This game we should draw. So sometimes it's not about winning every game, but it's making the most out of the games you've got. And they think that until winter break, Conte is trying to do that. All right, this game against Napoli, we need to score one goal and then defend because their attack is much stronger than ours. We cannot be caught in the counterattack. Let's just defend. Unfortunately, it's like that. If you want to deliver results at the end of the season, you have to think that way too.
Yeah, well, this is what Big Sam does. He prepares for games very well, and he does that. He's like, this game we can win. This game we can get a point. This game we might have to just take an L. He's very good at it. The only thing is, it's very weird timing from West Brom because Slaven Bilic arguably got their best result of the season by getting a point away at Man City, and they sack him the day after. Now, obviously, you don't just sack someone from one result, but it just seemed like quite strange timing. The way they handled it was pretty terrible. Like, it was all over Twitter before they'd even talked to him. It was quite messy. I feel quite bad for Slaven Bilic. He's a very good manager. I'm talking to Tom when he was at West Ham. He did quite a good job, but then when things go wrong, he finds it hard to turn it around. So anyway, there's a bit of maybe not excitement, but optimism for West Brom fans now Big Sam is back. And finally, the last game I wanted to talk about was Leeds against Newcastle. Leeds against Newcastle. It was 5-2. Newcastle were 1-0 up. Then Leeds went 2-1. Newcastle equalised, and then they just capitulated. The Rodrigo goal and the Jack Harrison to make it 5. The Rodrigo goal is beautiful. It's like a diving header on the penalty spot, puts it bottom corner, and Jack Harrison to wrap up the win. Kind of 25 yards out, jinks past a few players, just rifles it top corner. Leeds, again, just the most entertaining team. Patrick Bamford scores again, proving the doubters wrong, who were, including myself. I think people called it the Darren Huckabee zone, where it's you're too good for the Championship, but not good enough for the Premier League. I'm sure there's strikers like that here. I don't know, Lapadula comes to mind. I always think he kills it in Serie B, but then it's terrible in Serie A, that kind of thing. But Bamford's killing it for Leeds this year. And yeah, just so much fun to watch. So much fun to watch. And this weekend, they have Manchester United.
Wow, that's sort of a derby, right?
These are two teams that despise each other. The last time they played in the Premier League was 2004.
Ooh, 16 years down the line.
It was a 1-1 draw. The goals were from Alan Smith, who I'll talk about in a second, and the other goal was from Paul Scholes. So Alan Smith was an interesting one. Leeds fans won't thank me for bringing this up. But when Leeds were relegated, now he was a Leeds lad, born and bred. A few people will know this story. But when they got relegated, he said, I will leave Leeds, but I will never go to Manchester United. Guess where he went, Tommy?
I have a feeling it's Manchester United.
He went to Manchester United. He actually
no,
scored.
man.
Do you remember when Roma lost 7-1 at Old Trafford?
I remember when they won 2-0 at the Olimpico and then they lost
They
to 7-1.
absolutely stacked it. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Alan Smith scored in that game. But yes, it feels crazy that it's 2004 since they played in the league. But this is a kind of another weird derby. Fans that really dislike each other. It's going to be a feisty game. Man United, like I said, if they win tonight, then they could go above Chelsea. If they then beat Leeds, then they're looking like, they could be looking for Champions League again this year. Leeds will definitely not make it easy for them. And I think United will struggle to handle their press. Like, I think United really don't do well under pressure. And if there's one thing that Bielsa teams do well, it's pressure. When Arsenal beat United, it was because we pressed them. Leeds are a lot better at pressing than we are. So I think United could struggle in this one, and it's definitely a game worth keeping an eye out for. Yeah, and the last game I wanted to focus on as fixtures to look forward to is Aston Villa against West Brom. Now, Aston Villa had one Midlands derby last week against Wolves, which they won 1-0 with a last-minute penalty. Martinez got man of the match. I miss Martinez. But anyway, Martinez got man of the match, and now Aston Villa have another derby against West Brom. So it's Big Sam's first game. It would be the perfect way for him to kick off his tenure at West Brom by getting 3 points in the local derby. Again, these teams don't like each other. In the Midlands, there's a lot of kind of teams clustered around each other, and they all equally hate each other. So it might not be the most entertaining game. I don't think it's going to be a thriller. But for fans of derbies, it might be worth checking out.
Definitely. And keep in mind that we were just discussing this before recording the podcast. While Christmas break in Italy is a time to sit down, regroup, rethink, draw up new strategies, in the UK, it's completely different. Christmas time is the time when you play a lot of football. So I think that the next weeks are going to be crucial in defining who really the title contenders are this year. The next 3 games are going to be very important.
Yeah, it gets really intense over Christmas, and it's like always like the run-in. If you know what I mean, how are you going to handle the run-in? I love Christmas football. I love that there's football on Boxing Day. I love that there's football on New Year's Day. It's just like I remember as a kid always going to to watch Crew. And it was like Christmas was always, you spend the whole day with your family. Then the day afterwards, you get to meet your mates and your family, and you all go to the game together. The same on New Year, like everyone's hungover in the stadium. Like it's really cold, but I fucking love it. I love it. So I'm always excited about like 5 games in 3 days. Let's do it. Like,
if I was a football player, and that's a huge if, the size of my apartment building, I think that I would never score a goal on January 1st.
Well, there are players who are kind of known to get booked a lot just before Christmas, so that they get the time off of Christmas Day and New Year's Day. Like,
is that Neymar?
I'm suspended again. Bloody hell! Who saw that coming? Well,
sounds like a Neymar move when his sister's birthday is around. But
he'd be all over it.
A lot of weekend action that's going to be, in our opinion, defining to decide who are the real title contenders, both in Serie A and in the Premier League. The last thing that I wanted to say last week, I love when I talk about a player and then that player confirms what I have said. Musa Barrow for Bologna. Go check the 2-2. That was a Stankovic type goal.
You called it.
The only thing that wasn't Stankovic-like about it is that it wasn't a volley. The ball was on the ground, but first touch, like as the ball is approaching towards him, he raises his eyes, sees the goalkeeper is a few yards out. This rocket just like right above the goalkeeper's hand in 2-2. Bologna secure a point against Spezia. That was an incredible, maybe Serie A's best goal over the weekend.
Oh, best goal of the weekend.
And it wasn't a weekend. Of the week.
Of the week, yeah. I'm trying to think. Oh, just one honourable shout for the worst game I have ever witnessed in my life, which was the Manchester derby at the weekend. It was terrible. I mean, I've watched Crew get some awful 0-0s where I've wanted to leave after 50 minutes, but Christ alive. Even like the misses, I had it on TV. And right, it's funny because when I watch football, I'm like, right, I get distracted by Twitter quite a lot. And I was like, right, this game is Manchester Derby. Let's sit and watch it properly, right? Let's analyze it. Let's pick a player. I'm going to like focus on Fernandes and De Bruyne, right? Let's see what happens. Don't touch my phone. It was like 10 minutes in. I was like, bloody hell, this is bad. 20 minutes in, I was like, I really want to look at Twitter. The whole second half, I was just on my phone like, this is fucking awful. Like, it was the worst game. I just needed to say that because for a derby, like you expect a bit of like, I know there's no fans, but come
Manchester
on, have a bit
derby, especially
have a
these
bit of
days.
fight, have a bit of a like. It was just two teams that were so petrified of losing, so terrified that because for both teams, if they'd have lost, that changes the narrative massively, especially for Man City. They're still like in ninth, not looking great. So I think they were it was just two teams who didn't want to lose and an insult to the term derby.
Yeah, and to wrap this up, I really like the expression "Christ alive," but isn't it more of a Eastery expression than Christmassy?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. I'll adjust my swearing accordingly. Good. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to say that. But now, in case you're wondering, wait, Rory hasn't talked about Arsenal. It's because we are going to go well in depth during the upcoming weekly topic.
Fucking hell. Do we have to?
And welcome finally to our weekly topic that will be very interesting to many because today we're going to talk everything Gunners, everything white and red, everything Arsenal. And to do so, we have Jack from London. How are you doing, Jack?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing, Tommy?
I'm doing great. Rory, how are you doing?
Better than Monday night. Or Monday morning. Better than Monday morning, definitely. Yeah.
Great. So before we dive into our topic, Jack, tell us a little bit about yourself. We got in contact with you through Twitter. What do you do? How come you're an Arsenal fan? Tell us something about it.
Yeah, cool. So I started writing this Arsenal blog. So the page is called The Gooners News. It's a relatively new blog. I've always enjoyed writing. I've actually was doing a bit of stand-up comedy before coronavirus kicked off.
Nice.
So, since I've had to stop doing that, I thought I'll focus my my energy into writing about something else that I'm passionate about, which is Arsenal. And that's how it started, really. I've been an Arsenal fan ever since I was a kid. My uncle's always had season tickets for Arsenal, so I've always gone, back when we were at Highbury when I was a kid, going to the games and that stadium, man, that was amazing. And then over to the Emirates, he still had his season tickets, so going to those games, it's just been a kind of a special thing, really, growing up, going to those games with my uncle. And that's how it started, really.
Good.
Yeah.
And what's your Twitter account, just for our listeners to give you a follow?
Yeah, cool. So it's the Gooners News. THE Gooners with an S and then news as well. It's a new blog. I've only done one post so far. It's a work in progress, but hoping to get many more on the go. And enjoying it, man. Really enjoying writing about Arsenal. I picked a tough time to start writing about them. A lot of angry articles rather than nice ones, but yeah.
And so right now, I'm just going to mute myself because I see Rory. Rory's itching. This is his big opportunity to talk everything Arsenal. And I'm very excited. I'll just lead you guys into it. I want to know, as an Italian, I grew up with the myth about Arsenal. And then it came to a point when if you said that you appreciated Arsenal in England, people were just like, the eternal losers. Like, why do you support Arsenal? So besides this downfall, what is going on this year? The team is maybe on the brink of relegation. There is a lot to talk about. I'm going to mute myself starting from now. It's all going to be Rory and Jack. Listeners, it's going to be a good one.
And you're setting us off with the fucking R word. Like, just don't bring it up, man. Don't bring it up at the very beginning. Like, it's honestly giving me cold sweats at night. But Jack,
just thrown in the relegation grenade and then left the room.
It's going to take me a minute to recover. But Jack, I had the exact same thought. I was like, the year I start a podcast with my friend is the year that Arsenal finally absolutely shit the bed, and it's not fun to talk about. But okay, let's start with the most recent game.
Maybe it's us. Maybe we should stop. Maybe we should cancel the podcast. No, obviously don't do that.
We'll take a week off and see if it makes a difference in the results, right? I don't know. So we'll start with the most recent game. The reason why we're not feeling as suicidal as we